what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And we got some big news today in terms of release dates. On one side, we have Nintendo, which announced the release date for one of their upcoming first-party Switch exclusives, and it's coming out relatively soon, and it's looking really good, so we will go over that one. And then on the other side, unfortunately, an upcoming highly anticipated Xbox exclusive has been pushed back from the first half of 2022 all the way to the very end of the year. So I know there's going to be some disappointment with this one, but I do think it's for the best, which we will go over here in just a little bit. To start things off today, though, we do have some PlayStation news as they do continue to stay very busy in the early part of 2022. Though this one here seems to have surprised much of the community, which I really don't think that they should be. I'll kind of get back to that here in just a moment. But reportedly, Sony has extended the production of its PlayStation 4 console into 2022. Yes, you heard that right. We are talking about the PlayStation 4 and not the PlayStation 5. This is coming from Bloomberg, which claims that they will be making 1 million PlayStation 4s in 2022, and later on it was confirmed by Sony themselves that yes, they will be continuing production of the PlayStation 4 this year. Now, based off of what Bloomberg is stating here, this is because the PlayStation 5 continues to remain very difficult to get as we do have chip shortages. So this is kind of where the PlayStation 4 comes in. Not only is this a console that's easier to manufacture, but it's also a cheaper alternative option at just $300. As we've seen this generation, it's definitely beneficial to have a cheaper alternative, as the Xbox Series S has been selling a ton of units. To be fair though, the Xbox Series S is still a next generation platform, sitting at the same price actually, so I would like to see them bring the price down a little bit more for the PlayStation 4, but even then, the PlayStation 4 is still a fantastic console with a great library of games. Now, with all of that in mind, I have seen much of the community be a little bit surprised that Sony's continuing to manufacture the PlayStation 4, though truthfully, I don't think that this is a major surprise. I mean, even last generation, if you take a look at the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3, even though the PlayStation 4 released in 2013, Sony continued to sell the PlayStation 3 well into the generation, and in fact, it wasn't discontinued until 2017. That is 4 years after the release of the PlayStation 4, so no, I don't think that this is necessarily a big surprise. Now, speaking of PlayStation, we are going to be talking about that upcoming Twisted Metal reboot once again. We did talk about this earlier this week, as there was a big report going around that Lucid Games, the studio behind Destruction All-Stars, was no longer working on the Twisted Metal reboot as previously reported. But instead, Sony decided to go ahead and move this game over to one of their first-party studios somewhere over in Europe. At the time, we didn't know exactly which studio this was, though as I said earlier this week, I suspect it's either Firesprite or London Studio, and well, guess what? It is now indeed being reported that the Twisted Metal reboot is being handled by none other than Firesprite. This is being reported by Video Game Chronicles, which is a well-respected news outlet, and they've done a pretty good job at leaking information just like this in the past. So there is a reason to believe that this information is true, which I think is going to make Twisted Metal fans very, very happy just to know that you will be getting a new Twisted Metal game in the 2020 era. That's pretty cool to think about, but interestingly enough, even though Firesprite has taken over the Twisted Metal project, it also looks like that they have been poaching talent from Lucid Games, which again was previously working on this game. The game director from Lucid Games in last month apparently has actually left Lucid to head over to Firesprite. That is quite the coincidence indeed, but I think by this point you can definitely see why Sony acquired Firesprite. They seemingly do have a lot going on over there and will be very beneficial for the PlayStation 5 this generation. With that said though, I mean, this game is still probably a little ways out. I wouldn't expect it anytime soon, but when it does eventually release, I will be very curious to see how this franchise will fare in a modern day of games. I do, however, hope for you Twisted Metal fans out there that this one does very well and it turns out to be a fantastic game. Next up though, let's go and talk about that big Xbox delay, and unfortunately this is for Stalker 2. This is an Xbox console exclusive that was previously set to release directly into Xbox Game Pass on April 28th. Stalker 2 has often appeared as one of the most anticipated Xbox games to release in 2022, especially early on, but unfortunately it has now received a pretty significant delay. Yeah, if you take a look over here at this post made by the developers, you can see them say, "Stalkers, we have made a decision to postpone the release of Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl to December 8th. 2022. These additional 7 months of development are needed to fulfill our vision and achieve the desired state of the game. Stalker 2 is the biggest project in the history of GSC, and it requires thorough testing and polishing. We are convinced that development should take as long as necessary, especially in the case of such a project. And truthfully, I do completely 100% agree with this post. I know right away that this is going to disappoint a lot of fans out there. I do understand that this was a highly anticipated game, especially for PC fans that have been waiting for a Stalker 2 for years and years by this point. I mean, the last Stalker game released way back in 2009, so fans have been waiting a very, very long time for Stalker 2, but that's kind of the thing, because the most important thing is that the wait will be well worth it. When Stalker 2 does eventually release, you want it to be good right out of the gate, not some rushed, buggy mess. We've seen it just happen so many times throughout the years, whether that be with Cyberpunk 2077. We saw that happen last year with Battlefield 2042. They rushed it to the market. It had a ton of issues. It seemed incomplete, and that's not what we want to happen to a game like Stalker 2. On the opposite side of things, we've seen that delays can legitimately help games. Halo Infinite was delayed for an entire year, and it turned out to be a fantastic game, so I'm never against delays if a developer genuinely needs it to help the game be a better end result. I think the most important thing is not necessarily when a game releases, but rather, I think the most important thing is, was the wait worth it? And if a delay helps with that, I am all for that. Now, the next question that a lot of fans are going to have is, how is this going to affect Xbox? Because this was a big Xbox release for the first half of 2022, especially when it comes to Xbox Game Pass. This is a game that's supposed to launch directly into Xbox Game Pass, and this will create a little bit of a hole early in the year, but at the same time, when it comes to Xbox Game Pass, they always seem to be filled with surprises. I mean, even this month, we're getting Rainbow Six Extraction Day 1 on January 21st. We'll just kind of have to see how all of that plays out. But it is definitely looking like the second half of 2022 is where things are really going to start to pick up with games like Redfall. That's an upcoming Arcane Bethesda exclusive for Xbox. Then you have Scorn, Starfield, and then of course you have A Plague Tale Requiem as well as Stalker 2, all looking to release sometime in the second half of 2022. So I think it's going to be a great year for Xbox, even if the first half was affected here with this delay, unfortunately, with Stalker 2. Now, we did also get some good news in terms of release dates as well, because Nintendo not only showed us a new trailer for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which we'll get to here in just a moment, but also gave us an official release date, and it's actually coming out much sooner than what some of us may have expected, because Kirby and the Forgotten Land is now set to release on March 25th. Yeah, in just a little over 2 months, you're going to be able to play this game, and it really seems like Nintendo is getting 2022 started off in the right way. I mean, if you think about it, you have Pokemon Legends Arceus this month, and then just a couple months from now, you're also going to be able to play Kirby and the Forgotten Land. That is a great way to start the year off. And about that, this game does actually look really good. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is the first big 3D adventure for Kirby, and I really don't know why Nintendo took so long to make this happen. Truthfully, I think Kirby's needed a shakeup for quite some time. I mean, the 2D franchise is fine in its own right, but I feel like Kirby definitely deserved a 3D outing, and here we do finally get that, and we'll see how this one turns out. But based off this trailer here, it seems like it's got plenty of environments to play around with. There's going to be lots of collectibles with you saving Waddle Dees. It's got a few new abilities, one being the drill, where you can actually dig and attack your enemies from below, and then you also have the ranger, which can attack enemies from afar. And then to just kind of top everything off, they revealed that this game does have local co-op. Local co-op is something that Nintendo really excels at, so I'm glad to see them incorporate that here with Kirby and the Forgotten Land, but this definitely looks like it's going to be a really interesting title. I think the level design that they've showed so far in this game, it really stands out, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Mario 3D World, and I mean, that's an excellent game, so if that's its inspiration, by all means, you know, I'm looking forward to that. But here, I mean, with all the abilities that you can play around with in Kirby, and it's just going to offer something a little bit different. This is something that I want to see Nintendo do a little bit more of, though, because Kirby, again, is a franchise that I feel like has deserved a 3D outing for a long time, but it seems like outside of Mario, Nintendo doesn't really do too much with this genre. We talked about this a lot last year, but it does seem like 3D platformers here recently have been coming back in a big way. Now we're getting Kirby and a Forgotten Land, but if this game is successful, I would like to see them do this with some more of their mascots. Maybe we could get another 3D Donkey Kong game as an example. We haven't really seen one of those since DK64. I know Mario is Nintendo's mascot and everything, but I would like to see them give a little bit more shine to some of their other mascots as well. So we'll kind of see how all of this plays out, but I'm very hopeful that Kirby and the Forgotten Land turns out to be a good game and performs very well on the market. Let me know what you thought about this trailer though, and whether or not you're going to pick up Kirby and the Forgotten Land on March 25th. Now, one last thing that I want to talk about just real quick would be PUBG, which is seeing a bit of a resurgence now that it has gone free to play. Really, PUBG is kind of the game that got the Battle Royale genre kicked off, and I don't know why it took them so long to go free to play when you have other games in the market such as Fortnite, and we've seen how successful that's been. There's Warzone and Apex Legends, so I don't know why it took them so long to go free to play, but now that it has officially done that, it is definitely seeing a resurgence online. In fact, PUBG has now hit 670,000 peak concurrent players on Steam today, which, as Daniel Ahmad pointed out, this is actually double the usual figure that you see for this game as of last month. So that is quite a dramatic increase for PUBG. Unfortunately, though, it does appear that because this game has gone free to play, it has been receiving more cheaters. This is one of the downfalls of having a game free to play, as unfortunately you do get more cheaters, as it's just easier to do. You get banned and then you create a new account, and it's just a vicious cycle, and it's just always an unfortunate situation. One way that they're kind of battling this, though, is that they're actually making ranked cost $13. This is a one-off payment that will give you access to ranked and custom modes. It gives you XP boost as well as in-game items and other perks. So that's one way that they're trying to keep cheaters out of ranked mode at the very least. But yeah, PUBG is free to play, and if you want to go check it out, you absolutely can, and it definitely seems like a lot of people are jumping into this game now. Let's go and take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, do you think the next Mario Kart will be revealed in 2022? That's the current rumor right now. There is some belief that a new Mario Kart game might be revealed this year. I've also been hearing a lot about this new twist, and some people are assuming this could be Nintendo Kart, which basically will incorporate all of Nintendo's characters, and it does seem like the community is a little bit split on that. But disregarding all that, let's go ahead and see what you all think. Do you think this game will be announced this year? And 39% of you said yes. That actually seems like a lot of you are very optimistic, while 53% of you said no. So even though most of you all seem to lean on the side of no, this was a closer poll than what I was expecting. A lot of you all seem to be very optimistic that they will reveal Mario Kart 9 or 10 or Nintendo Kart, whatever it's going to be sometime this year. I have to say for myself, though, I kind of lean on the side of no as well. And the reason I say that is because I'm not necessarily convinced that Nintendo needs to release another Mario Kart just yet. I do understand that it's been a very long time since we've gotten a brand new Mario Kart game. I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is actually a port of a Nintendo Wii U title with extra content. So it's been a long time. And because of that, I do 100% believe that Nintendo is deep in development with a new Mario Kart game. Whether or not they reveal it, though, that's kind of a different question. Nintendo has a tendency of sitting on some of their games for a long period of time, even if they're finished. We've heard a lot of reports about this in the past, so for me, I kind of wonder if they're going to wait just a little bit longer as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe continues to sell very, very well for the Nintendo Switch. It is their best performing game, and even here in recent weeks over in the UK, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been the best selling game over there. So that's kind of where I question this a little bit. And on top of that, and some people have pointed this out as well, Nintendo typically only releases one Mario Kart per generation. I know this generation is a little bit different because, again, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is technically a port, so maybe we could get a new Mario Kart, but at the same time, I just don't know. This one definitely doesn't seem as clear-cut as past generations, so I guess we'll kind of see what happens with this, but whether or not it does, I will definitely be very excited to see the next Mario Kart game, because these games are always insanely fun. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.